Hello everyone, my name is Fawaz Sheikh and today I'll be talking about deploying Tungsten Fabric on Kubernetes via Helm. This is our topology for today. We have two computes and one master node, and essentially we'll be launching Tungsten Fabric on Kubernetes and then we'll be deploying a couple of applications. Installation of Kubernetes and Helm is already completed. So the first thing we want to do is just do a kubectl get nodes. Node 7 is our master node and it doesn't have a CNI, hence we see it's not ready, whereas node 9 and 10 are where our minions are. Here we see there are currently no applications running and TillerPod has a cluster IP and TillerPod in this setup is running on host network. Core DNS would get an IP address from the overlay, and since Tungsten Fabric is not up yet, so we see container creating and TillerPod is running on node 9, which is the host network. So the first thing we want to do is deploy Tungsten Fabric. So let's quickly take a peek at one of the Helm charts and let's look at Contrail CNI. So if you see here, this is pretty similar to a single YAML installation that we normally do with Kubernetes, with a few tweaks which are needed to complete the Helm chart. So again, I have a build.sh script which essentially brings the various components for Tungsten Fabric. So let's go ahead and execute build.sh. So when we do that, and if I go to my watch in namespace kube system, I see all of these pods are beginning to come up, and these are the various Tungsten Fabric components. And my agents have gotten the IP, the overlay IPs. So let's log into the Tungsten Fabric web UI. So if you see within a minute, everything came up. And here, this is the normal UI that you would see. We have two computes, hence two rerouters. And that's the current version. Okay, next, let's go ahead and deploy a real application. So here I'm going to use Helm. So Helm list shows all the current components, which are the Tungsten Fabric components up and running. And here I just executed my application, which essentially, as you will see here, it's like a Netflix application. Another thing you want to do on Tungsten Fabric is to enable session export rate. This will give us the statistics that we will need in future, and we can see that 6 instances are showing up on Tungsten Fabric UI. Let's look at the ingress IP and let's see if we can log in. So this is the application that we just brought up. And let's go ahead and play a video just to see if everything is working fine.
The world is a mysterious place.
Okay, so that works. So now next, using Helm, we are going to bring up another application, which essentially I've used in my demos earlier as well, which is a 3-tier application where web talks to app and app talks to DB. And here also I have an ingress. So on my Tungsten Fabric UI, I see more instances. And since my Kubernetes policies have already been applied in my firewall rules, I see the policies that I've created as part of that application. And if I look at the visualization part on security tab under traffic groups, let's go ahead and set this up so that I view all the traffic that I have right now. And let's hit the front end of that application. And if I refresh, I see my traffic pattern, my traffic going from web to app and app to DB. So let's zoom in. So here I see my Kubernetes policy showing up, web to app, and this is the session information. So next, what we would want to do is using Helm, we are going to create or scale up this particular application. So instead of one instance, we are creating three. So here are my pods which are coming up. So everything seems to be running. So now I will hit the refresh button a few times on the ingress. And now if I click on my local IP, now instead of one, I see three since we scaled up that particular application. So this is a good way of using Helm to scale up an application. You can scale up or scale down. Okay, so next, there's another cool feature in Helm that we could use. It's called rollback. So let's say if I want to roll back my three-tier application to the first version. So first version only had one section or one application running in the back. So my other applications have now terminated. Next, what I'm going to show is let's bring up an Nginx application. And here we are going to show the version control components that we can use via Helm. So let's again take the ingress for my Nginx application, make sure it's up and running. And let's go back and let's use the kubectl command to check the current version of this Nginx application. So as we see, the current version is 1.11. Now, as a user, if I would want to basically upgrade this application to, let's say, 1.12, I can just do Helm upgrade and provide the correct tag. And if you see here, my previous application is terminating and my new application with the newer version is coming up. And the ingress remains the same because essentially we are changing the components behind the ingress, right? So now let's go back and take a look at the version. And yes, the version is 1.12 now. Previously it was 1.1. So again, very useful to have, and Helm allows you that capability. Now let's go ahead and do a kubectl create of the Kubernetes dashboard. So here we see that container creating, so my dashboard is coming up. So one thing we want to do is for Kube Manager that was deployed earlier as part of Tungsten Fabric, let's get the token. This token we'll need when we log into the Kubernetes web UI. So there are two options. You can either do kube config or token. So we're going to go with token in our demo. So let's just copy that. Okay, so here, this is pretty standard. Not too many people use Kubernetes dashboard, but for this particular demo, we just wanted to show that everything that we created on Tungsten Fabric, on Kubernetes and all the applications, everything will be shown up here. So we see the nodes. If we go to the overview, that will pretty much show us everything. The deployments that we have for the three applications that we have currently running, replica set, ingresses, services, and then we can go back to Tungsten Fabric UI, and here we see 17 instances. So hopefully this session was helpful, and in this session we were able to show or demonstrate how we can deploy Tungsten Fabric on top of Kubernetes using Helm. Thanks.